And with the board meetings, we do ask that the public keeps their video cameras off until they speak. If you're interested in having that dialogue out there for this meeting, we could do that as well.
That would be great, Jake. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you to the members of the public who have already done so and turned their videos off. I appreciate it.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, but I see a few people coming in, so I will kick us off as soon as the waiting room's clear, if that works for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Appreciate you all joining us for Lake County virtual community meeting tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the status of the fires here in Lake County. Who would believe we're back in this position again, but here we are. We have a great list of speakers who are going to give you some very brief presentations, and we also have on hand most of our emergency operations team as well, all here to answer your question. So we're going to run through some presentations and then we'll open up the dialogue. We'd like to hear from you. So I am Carol Hutchinson. I am the County Administrative Officer, and I'd like to welcome tonight our speakers. Chairman Moke Simon of the Board of Supervisors is here. Of course, our Sheriff and OES Director, Brian Martin, is here and will be speaking. Sean Kavanaugh and his team from CAL FIRE are going to give us an update on the status of the fires. Jonathan Armis, our Animal Control Director, will talk a little bit about the services his office is providing. Gary Pace, our Public Health Officer, will also speak tonight. Brock Falkenberg, our Superintendent of Schools, will talk about an update on the status of local schools. And again, a large cast of other folks on hand. Red Cross is represented here tonight. Deborah Smith from Red Cross, Crystal Marketan, our Social Services Director, Todd Metcalf, our Behavioral Health Services Director, Denise Pomeroy, our Health Services Director, Scott Harder, our Deputy Special Districts Administrator, Chief Willie Cepeda from Lake County Fire, Chief Ciancio from North Shore Fire, Garrett Thompson from Cal OES, and possibly Scott De Leon, our Public Works Director. There's a lot of participants in the room, and I don't see him, but we have great attendance tonight. 64 people have joined us thus far, and hopefully a whole lot more watching us out there on Facebook. So we'll kick it off this evening with Chairman Simon. Thank you.
Good evening, Lake County citizens. You know, ultimately, can't believe we're here again, but we are. What we're going through now, obviously, I know is very disconcerting, and but we've been through it before. We're here tonight to get you as much information as possible on the incidents that are happening across the county, mostly down in South District, District 1 and District 2, and I do know that we are affected on the backside in District 3. So tonight, we have a lot of professionals who are going to ask questions. You know, I mean, give information. I apologize, going a million different directions here. But I just want to get on tonight and say, remember, we've been through this before. Please be kind to each other. Ask the questions that you're concerned with tonight when you have an opportunity to do that. But we, as the Lake County Board of Supervisors, are here to support our community as much as we can and coordinate with all the professionals that are on this call tonight, including with the state and federal officials, both CAL FIRE, Cal OES, and the others that are here to assist us from the outside. Ultimately, we have a great response team. It's been built over the past 6 years locally, our sheriff, who's going to give information, and all the rest of the folks on there. Tonight, I do not want to take a lot of time. What I want to let you know and reassure you with is health and safety is always number one with our citizens. as we move through these events that are happening and through the fires, and trying to communicate out to the information out to the public is one of the things that we want to continue doing while we move through this. This is our virtual meeting. It's been going on for a week. But tonight, we're going to give you as much information as possible. I will not take too long because the professionals that are on this call will give you more information, but your Board of Supervisors engaged each and every one of us in their community and with their constituents, and we try and get that information out as the calls are coming in. Everything is relayed through CAL FIRE, through our Cavill and Sheriff's Department, and we have those folks on here today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the professionals. If you have questions that are not answered tonight, please do your best to reach out to your supervisor. And I do want to thank each and every citizen in Lake County for being diligent on the warnings or the mandatory evacuations, on doing your diligence, getting out when you need to, taking care of your families, and making sure that you are all accounted for and moving in the right direction to keep your family safe. Tonight is, it's one more trying thing. We will get through this. We are, Lake County strong, as I said in the past, but I want to also thank all the folks that are out there, our local citizens who are doing what they need to do to defend their properties and do other things to help the surrounding communities, here with our local citizens. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the next speaker. And thank you very much, Lake County citizens, for being diligent and paying attention to what needs to be done in these trying times. All right. That's it. Thank you. Who's next, Carol?
Carol's on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Chairman Simon, very much. And next up is our Sheriff OES Director, Brian Martin.
Thank you, Madam CEO, and thank you, Chairman Simon. Been a tremendous support during all of this. So as everybody knows, on August 18th, there was a series of fires that started in some of our neighboring counties, sparked by some pretty significant lightning events. And since that time, all these fires have grown to form a huge fire with that's occurring at the same time as others throughout the state. The fire is now known collectively as the LNU Lightning Complex, LNU being the acronym for the California CAL FIRE Lake Napa unit that's responding to this incident. So these fires have resulted in local and state declarations, as well as a presidential disaster declaration for the entire state. 2 days after the start of the fire, in my capacity as the Emergency Services Director, I proclaimed a local emergency due to the movement of the fire and some evacuations that we're having to have ordered into certain parts of our county, starting out with Jerusalem Valley, Jericho Valley. We're dealing with this fire, the LNU Lightning Complex Fire. We're also dealing with some fire activity up in the Lake Pillsbury area that's impacting the Lake Pillsbury Ranch. We're working closely with the U.S. Forest.
Mr. Sheriff, you are cutting in and out.
This is impacting thousands
Brian,
of people. Yes.
You're cutting in and out quite a bit, so we've lost you a few times there. Is your
I'm
stable? Continuing to freeze.
Yeah, it looks like you cut out right there too. You want to shut your video off? That might help out.
okay.
So he's frozen for the moment. What we can do is move on to Sean Kavanaugh and come back to Brian after he sorts out his technical difficulty. Jake, if you're able to contact him offline and give him some support. So we'll move on to Sean Kavanaugh and then we'll be back with the sheriff. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. This is Chris Waters, Ops Section Chief for the LNU Lightning Complex, and I'm joined by Deputy Operations Nick Brown. We're going to give you a brief overview on the LNU Lightning Complex and specific Lake County, and then Chief Kavanaugh and Chief Jones will finish up. First thing I want to talk about the LNU Lightning Complex. In particular, I'm going to spend all my time talking about the northwest corner of the Hennessy Fire, which is the one that is currently moving north out of Napa County and moving in the direction of Lake County. The northwest side of the fire continues to be active. It's actually our top priority, basically from Calistoga all the way up into the old fire scar of the Jerusalem and the Rocky Fire. Continue to make progress. We're moving dozer line, engines, and other equipment, basically working our way north. Today in Middletown, you can see quite a bit of fire activity off in the distance. Down in the area of McGuire's behind the 7M Ranch, the fire has picked up activity today a little bit. One of the things that we're seeing over the last few days is that every afternoon about 2:30, we see an increase in fire behavior, particularly in that area that's southeast of the 7M Ranch, where we actually have our helicopters based and our heli-based operation set up. I did it again today, about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Fire started picking up. It's not moving at what I would call an extreme pace, but it continues to move at a steady pace. It's about 5 miles away. And right now they're currently building indirect control line, and they're actually going to start to do firing. The firing operation will be visible from town, and that's actually what most of the smoke that's going to be seen as the day continues on is from that operation. A lot of this fire is burning in areas that have already burned in previous fires, and it's still showing quite a bit of difficulty to get on top of. But we have everything we have available to us currently working the fire. The Deputy Operations Chief, Nick Brown, would like to add a few things about some of the aircraft operations that we have going, and then Chief Kavanaugh and Chief Jones will finish up.
Good evening, everybody. Like my partner said, we are doing everything we can to halt the spread of this fire continuing forward into Lake County. If you look at Napa County, Lake County line, pretty much just south of the 7M Ranch, bringing it all the way up, basically McGuire's to Three Peaks, we are sending, and we already have, and we're going to continue to fight this fire with a robust army of our fixed wing, which is our air tankers. To put it in perspective, besides the S2s of what CAL FIRE uses, we're using LATs, which are large air tankers capable of carrying 4,000 gallons of retardant each. We've also got what we call VLATs, which is a very large air tankers. Those are far few in between the state of California, but we are the top priority. So we have up to 3 VLATs. Those are 2 DC-10s, 1 747. The DC-10s carry roughly 10,000 gallons of retardant each, where the 747 carries about 19,000. That is a lot of retardant, folks. So what we're trying to do is really build that contingency line at the Napa Lake County line and bring it to the areas that we discussed, so that can slow the spread of fire and give us the ability to get in there with hand crews and dozers, hose lines, and whatnot to be able to check the fire there and prevent it from moving any further. That's the end of my report.
Hello, good evening. Sorry, we're all in trailers. We're gonna just use the same laptop to get our message out to everybody. So I'm Sean Cavill. I'm the incident commander for the LNU complex. I'm also the incident commander for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 2. And thank you for everybody joining us tonight, and so we can get this important information out there to all the folks from Lake County. What I'd like to do, you kind of got the operational view of what's taking place over in Lake County. I'd like to run down real quick for everybody tonight the overall view and status of the entire LNU Lightning Complex as we sit tonight. As we sit this evening, we're sitting at 351,817 acres for the entire LNU complex. As we sit right now, this is still the second largest wildland fire in the state's history. Right now, we're looking at 25% total containment on all over the incident. We have 871 structures destroyed. We have 234 structures damaged. For the Hennessy fire alone, which is where we're at in Napa County and Lake County, the Hennessy fire alone is sitting at 294,602 acres at 29% containment. Over in Sonoma County, we have the Walbridge fire. It's 54,503 acres with 7% containment. And the Myers fire, which is the one bright spot that we have right now, we're sitting at 2,360 acres and 95% contained. Personnel-wise, we've been receiving personnel the last 72, 96 hours, 4 days or so. We've been getting a lot of personnel and equipment that have been coming into the incident. Tonight, we're sitting at 2,194 personnel. The first couple days of this deployment and the activation, we were really stretched on resources. There was the work that was done down in some of these counties down here by everybody is to be commended. Unfortunately, the size of the fires, the number of new fires that we had start on Tuesday, we took over the incident as the incident management team on Tuesday. We had multiple new fires that started on us. Same on Wednesday that, we had just for the Hennessy fire now, so everybody is clear. This is one big fire now, but it was the Gamble fire, it was the Green fire, the Etna fire, the Markley fire, the Spanish, the Morgan, and the Round, all combined into, and plus the Hennessy fire, all combined into now what we call the Hennessy fire. So multiple incidents that really had us chasing our tails around there for a little bit just because of the lack of resources that we had. One thing up in Lake County as we move in there, if you're not aware, so Team 2, this is our third deployment in the last 6 years into Lake County on incidents with this team. Also, we were on the Jerusalem and Rocky fire, and then 2 years ago we had the Mendocino complex. With that, one of the things we're looking at operationally too is, we have all those old lines that we've looked at up on the old Rocky fire from 2014 and also the Jerusalem fire. So there's lots of dozer lines that are in there, as Chief Waters was talking about. We're looking at those contingencies that we're using. So we do have some folks that know that ground. And as you guys are aware up there, that entire area is difficult fire country. It really is. And as we continue to work, a couple of things is, we don't have the hand crews like we used to in the past years. That's one thing we really relied on was the hand crews that we had. There is some support coming in the way of National Guard. We're working with trying to get National Guard crews in here, and I am getting a report tonight that may be coming to us as by the end of the week. One thing to note real quick, so I don't take up too much time, is the fires are prioritized throughout the entire state daily, and we maintain to be the number one priority. I think is that throughout the entire state. Just to the south of us, you have another very large complex, 3 very large complexes that are taking place down in CGU, in San Mateo, Santa Cruz, and also in Santa Clara. So we have plans in place. It's always weather dependent as well in this very fire prone country. Please adhere to evacuation orders as they come through. Your guys' sheriff department, with Chief Martin, very well versed and very good at implementing those evacuation orders. So I ask the public, if that does occur, to please adhere to those orders. Be ready to go now. If they have to have your property secured, have your belongings secured, have your animals secured now. We are in the middle of August. It's August 24th. We still have the fuels are maxed out dry as they can be, and when we get clear skies, the fires are going to want to burn on us. With that, I would like to introduce Shauna Jones, who's the Sonoma Lake Napa Unit Chief, for an update from the local unit and overall statewide view.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. It seems like every year we are back here doing a community update on a fire in or near Lake County. It bothers me greatly that this is the time of year that we have these types of communications. I can't tell you how much it pains me to have to evacuate the citizens of Lake County in order to suppress these fires. I know Sheriff Martin was, before he got cut off, he was talking a little bit about the statewide perspective. I kind of want to share just a little bit more. As Chief Kavanaugh indicated, Team 2's been to Lake County several times over the last several years. CAL FIRE has 6 incident management teams statewide. All 6 right now currently are deployed somewhere in California to deal with the fires. In total, as of today, since August 15th, California, unfortunately, the burned acres in California is about 1.4 million acres. That's roughly the size of the state of Delaware. So if you put that in perspective, that's a lot of acreage. This time last year, we only burned, we burned 55,000 acres to date, the same time, same span last year. Right now, our statewide resources for CAL FIRE were 96% drawn down. The other 4% remain available for initial attack fires throughout the state. And while all these fires have been going on, we've answered additional calls, 13,800 emergency incidents while we've been battling this fire. To say the least, our firefighters are extremely tired and but happy to be here. I can't tell you how much the local factor of Lake County and how strong you are. And Supervisor Simon, I can 100% agree with you. Lake County is very strong, and it shows in the faces of the workers that are out there. I had the opportunity to be out there and see all the hard work, and they're smiling. They're tired as heck, but they're doing a great job. So I'm very proud of the work that's being done, and Team 2 is doing an excellent job with their leadership to try to suppress these fires. The work that you heard operationally that's proposed and in place for tomorrow is very good. Nothing pains me more than to hear the threat to Lake County and for the years that you have all been affected by this. So my heart goes out to all of you. In closing, I want to say thank you very much to all the members that are on this call and all of the citizens that are listening in. You are very important to me, to all of us. And we want, our number one priority is your safety and getting you home as safely as possible. So thank you.
Thank you so much to our CAL FIRE team. We appreciate you all coming. And I believe our Sheriff Brian Martin is back in the room, although he may not have video. He does have audio, I believe. So Brian, oh, hello, you do have video.
My video, if I start to get glitchy, I'll cut my video off again. And so I hope I don't repeat something somebody else. I think I got cut off right around the point where we're starting to talk about the evacuation notifications. I appreciate the incident commander, Sean Cavill, stressing the importance of evacuation orders. So we've had thousands of residents in our areas that have come under either evacuation warnings or evacuation orders. We've activated our EOC. We have some representatives on here to talk about what's available, what services we can provide. Also maybe to talk about some of our limitations and some of the challenges that we're facing in the event of the coronavirus pandemic. I will assure you that above and beyond the people that are present here on this Zoom meeting, there are many, many county staff personnel that are working very hard on this response. And it's important to keep in mind that not only are we dealing with this as an EOC, we have a simultaneous EOC that's been activated as a result of the coronavirus pandemic health emergency. A lot of people that are working in this fire EOC are also dedicating time to work in that EOC and respond to that. As far as law enforcement goes, we reached out for mutual aid. We realized that looting is commonly a problem when people are asked to evacuate their neighborhoods. So we want to make sure we had a good law enforcement presence, and we've been blessed with a lot of assistance from our neighboring communities, from as close by as Mendocino County all the way down to Sutter, Yuba County, Sacramento, Rockland Police Department representatives. I know I'm missing some agencies, but we have you'll see officers and deputies from all over the northern part of the state that have come out here to help. These lootings are important, as I said, to prevent, or these patrols are important to prevent looting. But even more importantly, these evacuation orders are in place for the purpose of saving lives and saving property. There's been a lot of people I know that have chosen to shelter in place. Having been through this before, they feel that maybe they don't want to go, and some people have chosen not to, and they've chosen to stay behind. I want the message to be very clear that if you choose to stay behind and shelter in place, you need to do that. You need to stay in your home. If you haven't planned adequately to be able to do so, and you don't have enough food or medication, and you need to leave, you're not going to be allowed to go back in. We've been asked several times for requests to bring in food for people that have chosen to stay behind, or supplies, and we simply can't do that. We can't enable you to stay in a place that we've deemed unsafe to be. The other thing that happens when people choose to shelter in place or completely disobey the evacuation orders is that if and when the time comes that we need to actually take action and fire activity increases in this area, firefighters and law enforcement are going to take time to help people. And for every person that they help, that means that those resources can't go to protecting somebody else's home. It means that they are put in additional danger. Their own lives are put in additional danger to help somebody who had the opportunity to get out. And I want to talk about that opportunity to get out. For those of you that have been here since 2015, you remember, we didn't have this luxury of time. That fire, the Valley Fire, came raging down the hill. and people were, some people were just able to get out with the clothes on their back. We have an opportunity this year. We have the luxury of time to get through and prepare and get what you need and get out to keep yourselves safe, to keep the first responders safe, and allow us to do their job. This LNU Lightning Complex has already claimed a lot of homes. We've been fortunate here in Lake County where the damage has been fairly minimal. It's been through a lot of rural areas, but as we're seeing the activity approach our more populated areas, that danger becomes increased. We've also, this complex has also claimed several lives, unfortunately. We're fortunate here in Lake County. We have no loss of life. We have no injuries to report so far. And my goal is to keep it that way. But I can't do that without the public's help. So I'm asking you to, when it comes to evacuation orders, please take notice of those and get out and get to an area of safety. You can help us meet our goal and keep the entire county safe. That's it. And I'll take some questions later on in the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Sheriff Martin. And so next up is Jonathan Armas, our Animal Control Director. Jonathan, you're on mute. If you would come off, there you go.
Thank you. Good evening. Since LEAP was activated, we received over 110 calls for assistance regarding over 800 animals. Currently at the shelter, we have 38 various animals in our care and have returned 7 animals to owners. And we're starting to see an increase of calls for people who fed their animals before evacuating that want us to check on them. And we have also coordinated with social services, Crystal Market Hand, and Red Cross on getting supplies that are needed. As far as services that we provide, we are able to go into the evacuation order areas and assist by checking animals, evacuating animals and caring for them as needed, or evacuating them and returning them to their owners. So if you are evacuated and you need help, please call our shelter, and that number is area code 707-263-0278. And our phones are being answered daily. So if you reach our voicemail, we may be on the phone with other people. Leave a message, we'll call you back. But lastly, just what Brian Martin was saying, Sheriff Martin, we are seeing a very sharp increase of calls asking to deliver animal food into areas that are under evacuation orders. We cannot assist anyone in violating evacuation orders, and we will not bring food to you. If you do need assistance, we will gladly come out and assist by caring for your animal or evacuating them for you. Everyone needs to abide Sheriff Martin's orders, and failure to do so could put you or first responders' lives at risk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. And next up is Gary Pace, our Public Health Officer. Dr. Pace, you're on. There you go. You're off.
There I am. Hi, thank you, Carol. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak tonight. Basically, want to just talk a little bit about evacuation and sheltering in the COVID environment because it's a little bit different than previous years. We have been coordinating a lot with Red Cross and with social services to try to make the evacuation and sheltering as safe as possible because we don't want to have, when people get together in the sheltering space, to be a place where the COVID can be transmitted and the virus can spread. So if you are somebody who is COVID positive or has been in close contact with a COVID patient, when you evacuate, you need to let the people know that and be sure to do everything you can to stay isolated and quarantined and stay safe. If you're needing to be in the shelter, one of the things we're encouraging is if people have other options, if they have family or friends that they could stay with and isolate and quarantine, that would be best. If you do need to shelter, if you don't have a place to go that's safe, just be sure to let everybody involved know that you're been COVID positive or been in contact with someone who is COVID positive so that we can put you in a place that's safe and where you won't be likely to spread. Also at the sheltering facility, there's going to be some screening that's going on, so we're checking for temperatures and we're checking for symptoms that could be consistent with COVID. And if you are testing, if you do screen positive, we're going to direct you a different way. So we have these what's called a temporary evacuation point where people are going to go initially, they're going to get screened and then end up being directed to the proper place to go. At this point, there's 30 to 40 people that have been that are out of their homes that are being sheltered. Some are in hotels because of that's what's what the strategy has been up to this point. But there's also some people in the congregate shelter as well, and we're doing everything possible to try to keep the people that are vulnerable or that are likely to infect other people, to keep them separate so that it's as safe as possible. But you just have to know that these shelter spots are a place where the virus could be transmitted. Any place where we're in a congregate situation like that, if you go to the shelter, you will be asked to wear a mask and do proper disinfection, and we'll do daily screens as well. All these are steps to be put in place to try to keep people safe. Just to say a couple other things that we are continuing with the normal COVID-related activities, even with the fires and the evacuations going on. So we're going to be doing everything possible within the county to try to slow down the transmission and track down positive cases. One of the things that is happening is the testing site that we're using, the Verily test site, has closed now today and tomorrow because of the air quality, and they're going to be reevaluating on a daily basis. So if you're somebody that needs testing and would have gone to the Verily site, you need to contact your medical provider or contact us at Public Health. And then the last thing to say is that after this is all over and people that have evacuated are returning back to their homes, there are ways to do that safely, and you just need to really use common sense. The ash can be a problem, and so you need to not let the kids and the dogs out in the ash and use gloves and things when you're touching that. You need to be aware of if food is spoiled or anything like that. So we will have a bunch of information on the health department website that people can get before they go back in, and really encourage people to use the safety precautions. But this is a really complex time where a couple of disasters are sort of layering on top of each other, and the coordination with the sheriff's department and with animal control and the Red Cross and social services has been really great, and we really appreciate working with such a professional team, and we hope everybody stays safe during this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. So we've just broken the 100 participant mark here in this Zoom call, and that it doesn't even begin to count the many that are watching on Facebook or will watch this later. So thanks everyone for being with us tonight. And now we turn it over to Brock Falkenberg, our superintendent of schools, who's going to give us an update on schools.
Thank you, Carol. And I also want to make sure I thank our firefighters and law enforcement personnel, as well as other support agencies that are making sure that we in this community are safe. Schools are facing this triple threat right now, and everyone's kind of alluded to it. We're working through COVID-19. All of a sudden, we're hit with the LNU Complex Fire, and then the air quality issues as a result of smoke over the last several days. Now, I want to assure you that Lake County schools are strong. Lake County is strong, and I know that we will work through this together. But we have to balance these three risks or threats to our health and safety. And so our schools are making sure that we put safety as a priority. That's safety for students, that's safety for the staff, and that's safety for the volunteers on our campuses. So multiple different decisions have been made as to how to move forward here, depending on where we're located within the county or where the district is located within the county. I can tell you right now that Middletown Unified School District will not be operational until or will not be back in school until the evacuation orders are lifted. Our other school districts are all facing various different challenges related both to the fires and to the smoke in the air quality issues. So I suggest to families to check on their webpage and their Facebook page, both for the school your child is attending, as well as the district your child is attending, to find out on a day-by-day basis what those decisions are for that school district. Our community colleges are moving forward with online education, which was the model they had in place before the fires. So there has been no real change there, with the exception of a couple lab classes. Those students will be contacted individually by their instructor. So again, please check social media of your school site to see what the status is from day to day, and I'll be around to answer questions later on.
Thank you so much, Brock. So we are now at the phase of the meeting probably that you've been waiting for the most, where we're going to open it up to questions. And so for folks that are in the Zoom room with us, Jake has put out some instructions telling you how to raise your hand. If you can do that, we'll cue people up as we see the hands go up. We'll also take a moment once we complete the people with their hands up, we'll open up the room to make sure we didn't miss anybody else. And before we jump into that, while we're waiting for some hands to go up, I'd like to bring up some of the questions that we're seeing come across Facebook right now. And in fact, we have about 500 viewers coming and going in Facebook right now. And it looks like some of the primary questions are going to go to the CAL FIRE team. So we're getting a lot of questions about how close is the fire to Lower Lake? What is the likelihood of evacuation there? What is the distance of fires from the Clear Lake avenues? The distance from the highways? How far from Highway 29? So lots of concerns about that sort of thing.
So to start, I can give a look, just looking at the updated map that we have. Roughly Fire's Edge over in Division, we're looking at approximately 5 or 6 miles from Lower Lake. As it drops down more to the south edge to Highway 29, Hidden Valley Lake, in Highway 29, probably around 5 miles this evening. And then as we jump over down into Division, Tango, looking towards Middletown is probably 6 miles, I think. So we're all roughly around that 5 or 6 mile range. Now, when it comes to timeframes, or just really depends on weather, depends on fire behavior as well. As Chief Water was saying, priorities. I know here a little while ago we had one of the, I believe it was the DC-10 was flying over. Hopefully we're getting those large air tankers to be able to drop some holding lines with the retardant in there. So it's really weather dependent. If we can get the weather to sit down, which has happened the last few nights when we get the smoke inversions, allows us to get in there and get a lot of work done. One thing with that, though, is when we do have the smoke inversions, obviously we can't fly the aircraft. So we get a later start in the afternoon. What we do know for everybody is, and everybody that's been around these fires for all these years in Lake County, is, our hours in the afternoon, that 2:30, 3 o'clock time, is when these things really start usually getting up and run on us. And that's been the pattern so far here for the last few days. So as far as evacuations, as we talked about earlier, we have a large section or group here, I should say, that are dedicated solely, along with our law enforcement partners. There's 3 tents that are set up just dealing with evacuations and repopulation. So they have those trigger points that they have to make sure we'll get those out in time to make sure that we can get the folks evacuated safely. And as I stated earlier, it's unfortunate. I had to say this, but it's unfortunate. Lake County sheriffs, they've become very good at doing that. And your guys' community over there, it's a sad thing to have to say, but adhere to those orders when they do come out.
Thanks, Chief Kavanaugh. A follow-up question from Facebook. Question has been asked, what is the likelihood of encroachment on Hidden Valley Lake?
So right now, to us right now, so that the closest section on the map is around Hidden Valley Lake. So like a lot of that is dependent on the resources that we have there, lines that are put in, and also the weather. So right now, one thing is, if we continue with the southwest wind push that we have, that's going to actually help us push it away from that area on our eastern flank, or the western flank of this incident. So if we continue that may help. But as you know, with the fuels that we have, the type of topography that's over there, and the fuels and how dry they are, and fire behavior can get up and run on us. And spotting is a huge issue. It always has been on fires in Lake County. That's what's been difficult in the past, is when we get the heavy smoke columns, the heavy lift with the ember casts that can fall out of those. Those have always been problematic in the past, so we hope that doesn't occur. But so that is one of the issues over there in that area.
Thank you. And we also had a question from Facebook about the Hull fire up in the Lake Pillsbury region. Does your team have info on that? And if not, can you tell folks where to find it?
I don't have a lot of info on it. We have been tracking, just because it's a fire that's up in the Mendocino National Forest with U.S. Forest Service. We're keeping an eye on it just because of the fact of if it gets up large, obviously it could have an environmental influence on our fire if it continues to move to the north. So I don't have a lot of information on it, but I know you can go to the U.S. Forest, probably the Mendocino National Forest webpage to get some information on that fire.
Okay, thank you. And what we can make sure we do on the county Facebook page is push out some information about it as well, because it's certainly also of concern for Lake County.
Chief Jones has stated we can go to the CAL FIRE page for information too as well.
Thank you so much. So Jake, I'm going to turn it over to you for the next few questions. Let's work the room a little bit. If you'll take the people with their hands raised and open the floor to them one at a time so they can ask their question.
Sure, yeah, sounds good. The first handout we have here is from GGS. GGS, I've asked you to unmute. You should have a dialogue.
Okay.
All right, looks like you're
Can you hear
unmuted
me
there.
now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for all the hard work you're doing, especially to CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Office. I have a question regarding possible repopulation of Hidden Valley Lake. I know this is probably too early. It's not going to be tomorrow for sure, but based on the current information, can you give us an idea of what the possible earliest day we would expect to come back to our homes? Thank you.
So once again, for that Hidden Valley Lake area, right now it's way too soon for me to even put an estimate or a time frame on that. We really have a lot of work that has to be done up in that upper division up there, and making sure that we get a good control line around that. So on this, I'm going to say that it's the eastern flank, but it's on the west side or the western flank of the larger Hennessy fire. So there's a lot of work that has to be done, and right now, just because of the way this thing's moving in the afternoon and the potential with the winds, it could possibly be an extended period of time. So I don't think I'd be doing any justice if I were to try to give a date or time on that. Our operations folks, I can tell you this, you guys, daily our operations folks, along with our entire staff that we have assigned to repopulation evacuation, that includes law enforcement, utility folks, everybody, they review and go over evacuations, repopulations daily.
And I believe our Sheriff Brian Martin has a comment on this one as well.
Yes, I just want to touch on these on the repopulation and a little bit more on the evacuation notifications. There's a lot of people wonder how these decisions are made. It's never a single person's decision. It's never just my decision. There's a lot of consultation that goes on, as Chief Cavill was talking about, speaking with utility workers, making sure we have safe water. And probably from what I've seen over the last few years, one of the most important things in getting a quick repopulation is not having extensive damage in the communities. If these firefighting efforts, if they're able to keep this fire out of our communities and out of those populated areas, I think it's going to make the entire repopulation effort go a whole lot quicker. And again, that ties back to, if you're evacuated, stay out so we can get in there, so we can get the firefighters in there to be able to do their job without distraction. The more success they have on the fire line, the quicker the repopulation is going to come about.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. And so Jake, let's keep moving on to our next raised hand in Zoom.
All right, the next hand we have up is Teresa Smith. I've sent you an unmute request here. Oh,
Thank you.
We can
you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who's working so hard endlessly on this. For your incident management teams, you had mentioned that you have National Guard on its way. I'm wondering what their ETA is and how many will be supporting this specific fire, because I'm sure that they're coming for the many fires that are happening in California, and how that's going to support our community.
Right. So as of today, we placed those orders. So what was going on with the National Guard is they had last week, at the beginning of last week, we started a training program with them. They have to get through the training program. I spoke to our what else called our northern region today. Hopefully, we're going to have 12 crews. As what's being told, I'm just getting a piece of paper, 12 crews, and that's going to be 216 personnel. Those crews, as of this afternoon, what I was told, will hopefully be arriving by the end of the week. They're supposed to finish up their training tomorrow, and then it's deployment, drive time, setup time, and hopefully they're going to be here tomorrow. So I feel very fortunate, I can tell you, as being the number one priority incident. That's the entire LNU complex that we're getting those guard crews. They're gonna be utilized the best that we can utilize them. So that's a lot of folks. That's a lot of stuff we can get done for having them all on the ground. So we're very fortunate to be able to be getting those.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Jake, our next hand in Zoom.
The next hand we have up is from Michael Chandler. I have sent you an unmute request.
Hi there, thank you. I just wanted to say a really big, huge thank you to all the fire and law enforcement teams and everyone that's out there trying to take care of our county in another disaster, and really appreciate all that you're doing. My question is, what can the community do on its own to help out besides doing things like defensible space on their own homes and cleaning out their rain gutters and staying out of your way? What can you give advice to the community to help keep ourselves safe in times like these?
I'll start that if you don't mind, and Sheriff, you can speak as well. I think, you know, in the communities over here, and we see this throughout the state in different counties, but you know, not only the defensible space obviously is a key factor in how you fire safe your home, but also as a community, if you have the fire safe councils and all the different vegetation management councils that you may have in your unit or in your county that you use, working through your local CAL FIRE staff in your unit that you're into to come up with different programs. There's all the different types of grant programs you can use for fuel reductions. So those really, and that takes everybody in the county to be able to come together to make that happen. Sheriff, do you have any?
So what I would say is, I mean, there's two parts of this. One, before the event, and what Chief Cavill was talking about, getting that fire safe community, the defensible spaces the caller asked about, all of those types of things, that really helps us out a lot. When the firefighters go out, they go and examine these places. They have limited resources. They don't have enough fire crews to put something on every structure in a lot of these big incidents. So they're really going to focus their efforts where they're likely to have some good successes, instead of putting a bunch of time towards things that may not be successful. During these events, what you can do to help us out is, one of the big things is check on each other. And this goes back to before the event. If you have a neighbor that has some special needs, maybe they have difficulty driving, or maybe they have some mobility challenges, and you can help them out. Or maybe they can't, get enough groceries, or have trouble understanding how to get their medications and file insurance claims and sign up for alerts and all those things. That's one of the best things we can do for each other in Lake County, is take care of each other, both before the event and during the event. What I ask is that we spend a lot of time addressing rumors. Things will come out on Facebook that may not be accurate, or they may be a misinterpretation of what we put out. Echo our messaging. If you have somebody that's not logged into our social media pages, those reliable social media pages, from the sheriff's office, from county OES, from the county of Lake, from CAL FIRE, your local police departments, echo those messages and help us get our words out as far as evacuation notices, tips on returning safely, and those types of things. It's all about taking care of each other. Lake County is good at that. Anybody that's lived here for more than a couple of years has been through this, and you know how important our sense of community is. So we'll keep that sense of community going even during these challenging times.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Jake, you'll keep going, and once we're done with this current set of hands, we'll come back to Facebook.
All right. The next hand we have up here is from Bailey Sharencel. I probably butchered that. I sent you unmute request here.
Hi, you got my name right. This is Bailey Bell Sharencel.
All right.
Just thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for having this put on. I've been trying to stay off of the Facebook gossip and really trying to listen to reliable sources for information. I hate to ask again to hear about Hidden Valley Lake, but when you guys addressed the Facebook question of it, it kind of cut out. And I would really appreciate a little bit more information on that, if you could, please.
Yes, I believe the question was regarding Hidden Valley Lake again. Yeah, so the question was originally a couple of questions about how far the fire's edge was from Hidden Valley Lake and Highway 29, also down into Lower Lake. So Hidden Valley Lake, looking up that updated map, is roughly 5 miles or so from the edge of the fire. With that, what I was talking about is that eastern or western edge of the Hennessy fire over there. We have the south to southwest winds, which means the fire is going to be moving out to the east. So we're hoping those winds continue that way, and we have lots of resources over there. That entire area over there has been one of the number one priorities on the entire LNU complex today. And so with aircraft flying or the resources that we have, everything else, trying to make sure we get a good foothold and secure area over there. With that, always, as I said, though, this entire area in there is very, the fuels, the dry fuels, topography, it's tough fire country. So please adhere to any warnings and, be safe.
Okay, Jake, let's take the remaining 2 hands up, and then we'll come back to Facebook and see what we have after that.
All right. The next hand we have up here is from Les Epstein.
Hello, folks. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate all the information. I know you're not clairvoyant, but I've got an important doctor's appointment up in Anglin on Thursday. I was just wondering what you think the best route for me to take, Butts Canyon or Silverado. Thank you.
And so, Mr. Sheriff, are you able to answer that? Usually CHP is in charge of the roads, or?
So for evacuations in the Angwin area, that would fall into Napa County. I'd refer Lee to the Napa County Sheriff's Office. I can tell you the Butts Canyon Road's closed. Getting there, I believe Highway 29 is all the way open to Silverado Trail. But again, I want to caution him to be sure to check with the local jurisdiction before you head down there. But Butts Canyon's closed off. I anticipate that's probably going to be closed off for quite some time.
Yeah,
thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah, Silverado Trail through up to Deer Creek or Deer Park, correct, would be the best way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Jake, we'll do one more and then we'll go to Facebook for a bit and come back to Zoom.
Okay, the next hand I have up here is from Brian's computer. I've sent you an unmute request there, Brian. Looks like you're unmuted.
Yes, thank you. This is actually Rachel. I want to echo what everyone's saying. Thank you all so much for all you're doing and for holding this Zoom meeting. I do have a quick question, maybe Sheriff Martin, if you could let us know. Have there been any incidents of looting in Hidden Valley Lake and any other parts of Lake County, and sort of what's the plan for handling that?
We haven't had any reports of looting so far. Sometimes people may not be aware until they're allowed to return home. So our plan for handling that is to try to stop it before it even starts. And like I said, we've done that with some pretty significant enforcement efforts with allied agencies coming in, performing mutual aid patrols. It's a pretty large area to cover. A lot of it's not very heavily populated, but we're focusing a lot on the Hidden Valley Lake area. With that, the evacuations, as we said, one of the important things to keep in mind during the evacuations is that we prevent that looting activity. And quite frankly, we don't know who a looter is. They don't run around with signs, so we don't know. But we take the obligation and the commitment to keep our county as safe as possible very seriously. We've given a lot of grace on the evacuations, particularly the first day of the evacuations, to allow people to get back in and get those things that they need in order to safely evacuate or to bring in enough supplies to shelter in place if they chose to do so. We're really tightening up on that. Today, we've issued 2 citations to people that have been contacted and given direct warnings about the evacuation orders, and they've chosen to disregard those. So there's been 2 people that have been issued citations today, and we're going to continue that route. We don't want to punish people. We don't want to create an additional hardship, but we also need to be able to make sure that we stop any potential looting activity or even the possibility or the attraction for people to think that it's okay to roam about freely in the evacuated zones.
Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate that. If you just be proactive, because, those of us who voluntarily left when you told us to, we're concerned about that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we'll switch to some questions in Facebook and then we'll come back to Zoom. So So there are a handful of questions, most of which seem to be with the fire, for the fire team. But for the ones that are not, I'll jump in. Are we aware of any cell tower disruptions happening? And I'm not sure who would know that, either the sheriff or possibly Chairman Simon. Are we hearing about any cell tower disruptions in the burn areas?
I've heard of none.
Yeah, same as I'm not aware.
Yep, it's not been brought to my attention either.
Great. What is the probability of mandatory evacuation of Middletown proper?
Well, once again, as I was talking earlier, really, that's one of the last things we ever want to have happen. That's what's happened over in the past in that area. But we have to make sure that we do have a plan in place in case that has to be a trigger point is meant to do that. But hoping that is not the case. Right now, we are looking at we look at the weather and the amount of resources that we're trying to get over there to at least get good line around it. So the estimate on that, it's not something we've talked about that is going to happen, but it's something that our folks are definitely looking at. So, Sheriff, I don't know if you have anything you wanted to add.
I do. I want to touch on that. I know there was we had a little issue down in Middletown today. I think there was some misunderstanding or some miscommunication that went on. It resulted in one of the law enforcement deputies going and activating his high-low sirens on Main Street, Middletown, and calling for evacuation. We quickly put out some Nixle message down to the Middletown area to let people know that was erroneous. That was a mistake. I apologize for any inconvenience and disruption that occurred. But I think that's kind of a good indicator of how ready we are to respond. These guys are ready to go. That definitely shouldn't have happened, and I'll apologize for that. I know it was an inconvenience and probably put everybody on edge, but we are ready to go if and when necessary. But hopefully we can keep this thing contained and not have those events unfold.
Correct.
So there are about 10 houses on Oat Hill Road at the edge of the fire. And the question is, what is being done to protect them?
So that was one of the areas that is right there just south of the county line, I believe, right there in Napa. And those were the two of the main priorities today, was that division, Tango, and Uniform as they run up. And it runs up, into Lake County. But those were the priorities. So we have, the resources that we put in there, trying to make sure we get lines put in, utilization of aircraft up there as well today. I didn't have a total update of what on that exact road or that area on those homes tonight, but I know those were the priorities that were set today. And that once again will be a priority as well. So if we have an operation map, anybody can see it's that Tango and Uniform divisions.
Thank you. Chief, what would you say your primary concerns are right now? Is it change in wind direction, lightning, something else?
To be honest with you, right now it is one thing that I've talked about this. Wind is always an issue, and one thing that in Mother Nature with wildland firefighting that we just can't overcome. There's a lot of things we can plan for, but the change in direction in wind and the lift of the smoke columns and the amount of energy that can be created by that, it is, we can plan the best we can plan, and we've experienced that here, and I know that everybody in the communities has. When these fires get up and run with the wind, it is difficult. So to me, it's a couple. That is, I'll be honest with you, wind is one thing, but right now I've got about 1,000 things that worry me on this entire complex. It's really, I said this, I think the second day in my news conference that I was here. Number one priority for everybody is their life safety. And that goes for every citizen, that goes for every law enforcement, that goes for every firefighter, EMT, medical, utility worker, everybody in everyone in these counties. So everybody is aware we are operating in 6 counties right now, and to make that clear. So those are the priorities. We are doing what we can do. And I promise you that I have asked for the best effort from everybody. And I've never, I asked for best effort, but just because of the lack of resources we had to begin with, I stood in front of a lot of people, one of the operational briefings in the morning a couple of days ago, and I just begged. I said, I need the best effort and best decision making on this entire complex from everybody to get this mitigated.
Thank you. And then there's a question about resources for long-term recovery for folks that lose their homes. Do we have that information available yet? We've not lost Lake County homes in this fire yet. So I'm posing this question to a couple of people, hoping for a collective answer. First of all, does our care and shelter team have any resource information for folks that lose their homes if it comes to that? And Matthew, I know earlier today you shared with me some information about SBA and some resources they have available. So again, just reaching out to the team. What information is there available in terms of long-term recovery resources for folks who lose their homes? Okay, I'm not hearing an answer to that one, so we will work on that one and get some information out on the County of Lake Facebook page. Okay, so Jake, Matthew cannot unmute. Can you unmute him? Crystal may be having that problem as well, possibly.
Yes, I'm addressing that right now.
Thank you. So go ahead, Matthew, you're unmuted now.
Okay, so yeah, this is Matthew. And so many will recall that there have been some centers set up with past disasters where the SBA has provided information on business recovery and disaster loan services. For this event, the business recovery and virtual disaster loan outreach centers are going to be virtual, and they did open actually as of Monday morning. They're open Monday through Fridays, 9 to 6 p.m. The phone number is 916-735-1500, 916-735-1500. And the phone number is F as in Frank, O as in operation, C as in Charlie, W as in wall, A as in Aaron. So I'm sorry, it's FOCW assistance at sba.gov. And we can definitely post that in the comments as well.
Thank you. Crystal, did you have anything to add?
No, I do not have anything to add. Thank you for that, though, Matthew.
And so I'm also being told we have a federal rep watching us on Facebook, and he just wanted to remind everybody that the federal disaster declaration, which was approved by the president a few days ago, includes individual assistance, and you can find information about that on Mike Thompson's, he has a resource guide on his Facebook page. So that's Congressman Mike Thompson. So, and then before we move back to Zoom, there's a question about the chance of evacuation orders reaching Cobb or Clear Lake. Is the fire team? Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, right now that's that hasn't been a conversation that hasn't been a conversation that we've looked at for reaching clear over to that area.
Couldn't quite hear you, Chief.
I said right now that hasn't been a conversation. We haven't discussed anything. But I will tell you this: what I've learned over here in these areas, sometimes you never say never to, but we're not.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then the last question from Facebook for now. What can Lake County residents do to mitigate fires in the future? Brush cleanup, other measures? And on a related note, can CAL FIRE implement controlled burns to reduce fuels?
Am I off mute? So we do have in place a lot a vegetation management program. Our two battalion chiefs in Lake County, Chief Hannon and Chief Wink, have been working tirelessly with landowners in trying to develop some vegetation management projects. So those are active. We have been working with the fire safe councils in Lake County and trying to get projects together. So those are some things that folks can do, is to look into the community and trying to do vegetation management projects, clean up in their area, working together. So as you know, CAL FIRE has a reduced number of crews, so it's really going to take a lot of help working together with the community. And I believe Supervisor Simon is also working on a countywide project for vegetation management as well. So there's a lot of things that we can do to work together to make things happen for reducing the vegetation. We have a couple projects. One that we believe is extremely successful and kind of the start is in the Rivieras and doing a vegetation management fuel break that we've been ongoing. So things such as that in certain areas where we know that are fire prone that can help us slow the fire in and around homes. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and I would encourage you strongly to contact us, contact Battalion Chief Jake Hannon or Chief Wink, and we can work together on that, or myself.
Yeah, I will give you an update. The Lake County has created the Risk Reduction Authority. I'm the chair. We have all fire agencies in Lake County that attend those meetings. We are looking to grow that over the next few years here and turn that into the umbrella organization to work on all these issues. We have implemented, as the Board of Supervisors, vegetation abatement program, and we have multiple programs that we're looking at for long-term viability, fuels reduction, and also large fire breaks and other things in the county. And we're constantly working on those together with CAL FIRE and all of our local reps, our local fire chiefs, who really step up. And I just once again want to thank them during this event again. But yes, the Risk Reduction Authority for Lake County is looking to be the umbrella to help work on those for the county.
Thank you, Chairman Simon. And so, Jake, let's go back into the Zoom room and answer the questions of the couple of additional raised hands we have.
All right. The first raised hand we have up here is from Monica Rosenthal. Monica, I've sent you an unmute request. All right. Looks like you're muted.
Okay, yeah, this is Dave Rosenthal, and so I apologize if you've already gone over this and I missed part of the meeting, but in regards to the
I'm sorry, the screen shifted as I was doing something else and I accidentally muted you, Rosenthal. Will you please check and come back?
Yep.
All right. Oh. Let's try that one more time.
There he goes.
There. Are we back?
Sorry about that.
Okay. So anyway, so I was I apologize if you already gone over it and I missed it. But in regards to the Etna section of the fire, the Etna fire that's over by Oat Hill Road and Livermore Road, just in watching it over the last number of days, it seems like we continue to have these fresh hotspots going. It's not going fast, but it just seems persistent. And I'm wondering, are we doing is there anything different or an additional being done now to kind of get that out? You know, I look at the rest of the big fire and we got hundreds of miles of fire line and it's not as many hot spots in most places, but we seem to have this persistent one. And that's the one that impacts me the most. So that's why I'm asking.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that and understand. And actually it's like that all over the place, to be honest with you. So, yeah, so that area is up there. Like I said, there was a couple priorities, if you missed earlier, that we were talking about. If you look at a map that Tango, you'll see Division TT on the operations map. That was a priority spot today, along with Division UU up in the Lake County area. As far as moving all the way up that area, you know, it's about resources and utilization of those resources. So, you know, one thing we're trying to do is make sure we've got control lines in. And so if we're moving from a control line, if there's not active fire there, we may be moving on to somewhere else to where there's more active fire. One thing we've been used to in the past is, you know, lots and lots of resources of engine and so forth. So we don't have that. So we're prioritizing those areas right now. So, but there are resources up there trying to do that. But you're not alone. It's like that over the entire area. Plus, take the 54,000 acre timber fire base we have over in Sonoma County as well that we're operating. It's like that.
If I could just comment too, also today, Today was the first day that we've seen the large aircraft. I know you got the right names for these things, but they're dropping. Matter of fact, I think I just heard one come by again. That's something that had not happened. Advocating all week to get that out here. Nice to see that happening right now. Appreciate that support from CAL FIRE. But those are things that have not been happening. They are starting to happen now. Also saw helicopter drops on this end, pushing that through. And I know that yesterday the dozer lines were cut. And so now you're getting multiple fronts out there to be worked on. You know, I want to say thank you very much, and just pay attention to the skies a little bit more this afternoon, and then watch how it progresses over the evening, Mr. Rosenthal. And but I will say, I know that wasn't happening earlier. Let's hope those things are going to drop this thing down this evening and give a good opportunity to move forward. And here it comes again. I can hear it coming over the house right now.
All right, and thank you very much, and I appreciate all the hard work that everyone's doing, and we'll just look forward to those little red dots going away.
Absolutely, me too.
All of us.
All right, so Jake, let's keep moving through our hands, and just a brief update to everyone. We're going to go until 7:30, so we'll keep addressing your questions until just a few minutes before then. So go ahead, Jake.
All right, the next hand we have up is from Martin Shield. All right, looks like you're muted. Martin, are you there? I'm not picking up any audio at this moment. I'm gonna try to send you another unmute request here. All right. I will try to communicate with you to fix that issue. We'll move on to the next.
So let's move on to David Thurber. We answered a question for Michael Chandler. We'll come back to him if we have time, but right now let's try to give everybody an opportunity. And again, we'll come back to Michael if we have the time. So David,
okay. So David Thurber here. Oh, sorry, my thing is moving around. All right, David, I've sent you an unmute request.
Good evening. Thank you. David Thurber, Executive Chair, Team Lake County. I just wanted to address the question earlier, the individual that had a question regarding the long-term recovery process. Team Lake County, we've already begun discussions. We have a crew of very skilled case managers, and we are preparing that once we do move to that recovery phase, to work diligently as we have through the past several disasters to assist all those folks to the best of the opportunities and resources that we can track down and have available. So stay tuned on that. More information to come as it becomes available. But again, Team Lake County will be here with our disaster case managers to assist those folks in need.
thank you for that information, David. And as soon as this meeting is over too, we'll be putting more information out on the Lake County Facebook page. So we appreciate that. I look forward to hearing more from you all. And so now we have somebody named David. Could you take that person, Jake?
Yes, I have sent an unmute request to David.
Okay, let's move on to Martin Shield, if we can get him again.
Yes, I have sent another unmute request to Martin Shield. Can you give us?
Jake, your audio has gotten softer. Can you speak more directly into the mic?
Yeah, sorry. Martin Shield, I've sent you a unmute request. It looks like we were still experiencing issues on that line.
Okay. Perhaps he can work it out. If he can, we'll take his question. I'm going to go back to Facebook for just a moment. Are there any plans to open a local assistance center? Crystal, is that one you could address?
So the Department of Social Services usually does open a local assistance center, and I'm sure we'll open some form of a local assistance center following this fire as well. it may, look different than it has in the past. And I honestly haven't given it a lot of thought because we're still really focused on temporary evacuation points and sheltering. But I'm sure that we will be looking at that once, the fire, starts to be put out. So I would probably have more information on that in the future. And we are posting information on the county Facebook page. And so I will keep that updated there as well.
Thank you. And so I just got a text from Martin Schill. He's having some sort of difficulty on his end. What I would like to do at this point, Jake, if you would, is unmute the floor and let's take a few questions from the floor, if there are some.
Okay. So I will unmute the floor here. All right. I ask everyone to unmute. If you'd like to make a comment, please start by saying first and last name.
Anybody wishing to make a comment from the floor?
At least I wasn't born. That would have been so funny.
Okay, Jake, let's close it up.
Okay, will do.
And we'll go back to Michael Chandler, who's patiently waited with his hand raised. And then I think we'll wrap it up for the evening.
Thanks, Carol. My question is again kind of related more to what we can do with prevention. And well, the neighborhood that I'm in, most of the neighbors do a really good job on taking care of their defensible space. There is quite a few acres of absentee owners where it's just hugely overgrown and a major hazard. Is there anything that we can do to get these owners to take better care of their property to avoid having such fire hazards in residential areas?
So for your neighbors that are absentee, they are still required to do clearances around their structures. We have a defensible space inspection program, and we send out defensible space inspectors out into the field to do those inspections. And we do send notices to, or leave notices for the homeowner that for clearing their homes. If there are certain areas that are overgrown, we can work together. If you're in a fire protection district, we usually work together, CAL FIRE and the fire protection district that you're in, to try to mitigate that. So you can either contact our office in Middletown, or you can contact your local fire protection district chief, and we can work together to try to mitigate those.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
So thank goodness for technology, because even though Martin Schill couldn't get his mic turned on, he did text me his question, so I'll ask it for him. And I'm hoping Dr. Pace can field this one. I don't believe our air quality department is represented here tonight. So correct me if I'm wrong, Doug Gearhart, if you're here, please answer this. But the question is this: with the current state of air quality, what is the recommended mask to wear outdoors?
Well, right. Up until this year, when there was problems with air quality, we were recommending N95 masks. The problem now is that they're almost impossible to get. And so if you have an N95 and you need to go outside, that's the best one to do. The cloth masks, I don't think, provide much protection against the particulate matter. Really, the recommendations are here. The best thing to do is to stay indoors when the air quality is like this. Especially if you have air filtering or some kind of way of recirculating, so you're not drawing a lot of air from the outdoors. But really, it's better to not go outside for extended periods, not to exercise outdoors and do things where you're breathing deeply and drawing that particulate matter in deeply. So, but in terms of the question about the mask, it would be the N95 mask is the one that protects against the bad effects of this kind of air.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. I appreciate that. And so we've got 2 more hands raised. We'll take them both in our effort to keep with our commitment to wrap up at 9:30. Or excuse me, not 9:30, 7:30. And I also want to take a moment to tell everybody that at this point, we're working to put together another meeting like this for Thursday evening of this week at 6 p.m. And we are asking in advance of that, if you'd like to email us your question, we can be sure to be ready for it. You can email questions for a Thursday evening meeting to vision@lakecountyca.gov. We'll put that out on our Facebook page as well, and we'll make a formal announcement to confirm that meeting with the Zoom link and Facebook as well. So before we go, I wanted to first call on Rachel Elkins. If you could unmute her, Jake. She's going to tell us all about a fire safe calendar that the UC office puts together every year, and it has a lot of details on how to create defensible space.
Okay, I think, can you hear me? I did unmute my phone.
Rachel, go for it. We can hear you.
Our Master Gardener program created a very excellent calendar along with Michael Jones, our forestry advisor. It has very, very detailed instructions on how to create a defensible landscape. And it does have actually with photographs of homes in Lake County that have created defensible space down in the Cobb and Middletown areas and Hidden Valley area. So anybody that would like to get a copy of this calendar can contact our office at 707-263-6838. And our website is celake.ucanr.edu. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And so the last hand up for this evening is Lair. If we could unmute Lair and let them ask their question.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to know if it's okay for me to share a resource that I am aware of that could be beneficial to the group.
Go for it.
Yeah, so this resource was put up by EPA last week. It's a new online app, and the app can be accessed at fire.airnow.gov. And by using
.airnow.gov.
Correct. And by using that tool, it overlays fire, smoke, and air quality all in one resource.
Thank you, Lair. We appreciate you sharing that. And so before we wrap up for the evening, I wanted to reach back out to Sheriff Martin and also Chairman Simon for a couple of closing remarks.
And I just want to give a huge thanks out to everybody that's come together to work on this, from our community members to our elected leaders, people that are out in the community and not seeing what's happening on the front lines and not seeing what happens behind the scenes to make everything go as smoothly as it does. I just want to let you know what the amount of work that goes on, and there's no way I can thank everybody that's got some involvement in this. Everything from just offering emotional support. You actually have people out using their own equipment to cut fire lines, offering up help for the firefighters that are working hours and hours. I ran into one guy early on in the fire, so he's probably on day 45 or so now, but at that time he was working on his 39th day straight. When Chief Kavanaugh says and Chief Jones say that these firefighters are out here and they're happy to be here, that's a fact. They're working hard, they're doing their best to save our community, and I'm grateful that they've come here to help us out.
Thank you. And Chairman Simon.
Yeah, I think Brian hit it all. But I want to, first thank the citizens of Lake County to adhering to the evacuation warnings, whether it's a warning or a mandatory, just doing your part. Please pay attention to the nixles and the other information. I know Facebook is always out there, but please listen to reliable information so we work on being calm as we work through this situation and not create hysteria. What I would like to do is thank all of the county employees that are working diligently through all of the disasters that we're dealing with right now and continue to support them in their efforts. Advocation is one of the big things for the Board of Supervisors we've done, and we've reached out to all of our federal and local partners, our federal and state representatives, to have them here. They've been here on the ground this week. We've heard a few times from Cal Fire that we are priority one right now at this point, and we'll continue to advocate that way. Didn't start out that way at the beginning of the week with the resources, but you're seeing them come in now. So I want to thank everybody that's working diligently to keep our community safe. And once again, we will get through this. We are tired of it happening, but we're prepared for it, and we'll continue working diligently to keep everyone safe. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today, and please reach out if you have questions and they weren't answered. We'll do our best to do that. And one more time, I just want to thank all of our local citizens who have done their part, whether it's vegetation abatement or even right now responding while we are waiting for resources to come. And I know we have a lot of stakeholders, individuals, local construction guys that are just getting out there and doing what needs to be done. And it needs to be recognized that, as always, Lake County, we take care of ourselves, and we are going to treat ourselves as number one, no matter how long it takes for resources to get here. So thank you very much, and keep working hard, everyone. And we will see you again on Thursday night, it sounds like. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.